record? There we go. So this critique is critique number 200. Obviously, I can't believe that we've been doing this for 200 times. Troy, I don't know, aside from Nicole, I don't know anybody on the planet that I've had 200 conversations with.
Right. I mean, technically, we've had 400 conversations because there's times that we went for like an hour before we started recording.
That's
and then
right.
we would say, forget it. We'll record later.
Exactly. But this is good.
We did them live.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're recording them. But yeah, I think the most important thing to acknowledge before you even dive into these images, or one of the most important things to acknowledge, is the fact that Troy showed up for all of these to co-critique, or most of them, most of them. I think you missed one or two because of things, life, but a round of applause for Troy Miller and his co-critiquing skills over the last several months. Always there. Troy's he's like a barnacle on the ship of TWiP.
Not the first way I would have thought about that.
I'm so glad you didn't pick other words. Yeah, that was an okay word. That wasn't too bad.
No, that was a good one. That's a good one. Barnacles are, they have rights. Come on.
Yeah.
So how's everybody doing? How's this
Good.
for a meeting time in the middle of the day? Well, at least the middle of the day in California. But how's this meeting time? Craig,
end of the day here.
What time is it there, Paulo?
It's 9 p.m.
Oh, good. That's not too bad. That's
It's perfect.
Yeah. Stamfleet. What time is it down under?
5 o'clock in the bloody morning.
Make sure you're sitting there. He better do this meeting. He better do this meeting. I'm going to kill him.
I got up for Tuesday morning thinking, okay, I'll get up for the next one for what I thought was going to be this few days ago.
Yeah.
Then I started going through, there's an email. Oh, yeah, it's been moved to the 28th, which is the 29th. Okay, I'll go back to bed.
Yeah. Good. Just slide back to bed. Yeah. Good stuff. So you guys ready to dive in? I say we just dive into the images and talk about them. Again, I don't want this to be a formal, this is not a critique. This is more, hey, let's look at the images and tell us what, let's just talk about them and why we picked them as favorites. I don't even remember why we picked many of these as favorites, but maybe it'll come back to us. But I've got them in order in a folder, and I'll make a post with all of these images on This Week in Photo with the gallery and all that stuff, kind of like I do for all the other critiques. And this recording will be in there as well. So for the folks that didn't make it here, it'll have the replay as well as all the images that were picked, and the appropriate captions, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and share preview here. And the first image up, this one, I think this one is from January. So starting from January of 2022 and forward. So this one is the first pick of 2022. And this was, again, an open topic. So look at that. Whose is this image, Phil?
Cannot imagine.
Yeah.
Who would take a picture like this? This is insane.
Yeah, that's beautiful with those birds there. Phil, tell us, since you're here, tell us about this image and what went into it.
So this is at Sea Ranch. I don't know, a lot of you, some of you, Paulo, I know you don't know exactly where I am, but Sea Ranch is a little community on the northern coast of California, and it has a very interesting topography. There's a lot of sandstone, a lot of rocks offshore, and I've just fallen in love with taking pictures of that area for the last 2 or 3 years, and I've been doing long exposures, and this was kind of fun because these cormorants sitting out on this rock, and I just was intrigued by them and all the different things that are going on, and I like the way the long exposure creates light and sort of gives a sense of three-dimensionality to the rocks themselves that you don't otherwise get. So it's fun. It's just, I think it drives everybody else crazy, but I enjoy it.
No, I love it. Anybody else have comments on this shot? I think this technique is great. I mean, I'm a big fan of just when people understand long exposures and stretching time and doing things that your eye can't really perceive in one frame. And I think this is a compression of time. Like, Phil, what is this, like over 30 seconds?
This is 30 seconds. Yeah, and I like that too, because you can never see this. You can never see this live, because there's too much action. But when you slow it down a little bit, it creates a.
So I'd like to add a comment, if I may. I think Phil's comments were very insightful, and what I love about this photograph is it talks about key principles of photography, that it doesn't matter what the fuck camera you're shooting is. It's about light and gesture and composition and shadow and form. Phil, I think, raised a really good point that this shows texture and three-dimensionality and depth. And that's not necessarily easily obtained, particularly when you're shooting with longer focal lengths, as you know, right? And so, how do you create a sense of depth, in a scene like this, right? Well, light, shadow, and texture are a way to do that, right? It's not necessarily about shooting wide, right? And so I think those were nice insights that Phil shared with us, that this photo exemplifies.
Yeah, it's a great shot. What was the shutter speed on this thing, on this picture? On
30 per second, probably
30.
18 or something like that.
Wow, it looks like it's slower than that. It looks great. It really does.
Oh, well, thank you. It's probably.
It also highlights a technique that I think is often missed out on. I know Kai does a lot of time lapse, and Phil, you obviously do a lot of long exposures. We've all kind of played with it, but long exposures and other techniques to show time compressed. We don't see those in like traditional photography a lot. Even if it's just doing a landscape shot or a commercial shot or an architectural shot, you do a long exposure and all the trees blur and all the people in the streets disappear. Like we just don't see that stuff a lot. So not enough. I think we should definitely try to use it more. It's not easy. It's not easy to do in time constraints, but it is a good technique. So thanks, Phil, for the reminder.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because you look at the tools that we have, like these new phones that can do all these fancy things and computational photography doing this and all that. But you look at shots like this, Phil, and this is fundamental photography, right? This is f-stop, shutter speed, ISO, and a tripod, and finding a good location. It's the pure stuff. There are no apps involved that, hey, this is the long exposure app that lets you do all this. This is pure math for the most part, and it's inspiring. I think and a lot of folks are losing this because of how easy it is to kind of replicate, quote, easy it is to sort of replicate this look with apps, but they'll never quite get here where you are, Phil, which is interesting. So congratulations. I like it.
It's also, Frederick, just expanding your thought, it's also about showing up and creating a consistent body of work, right? And Phil's been kind of showing us wonderful images from a series of photographs, similar to this for a while now, and it's been wonderful to see that. But, it's about putting in the hard work and like getting out there and shooting at the right time of day and understanding when is the right time to be there and what is the dynamics of the ocean going on at the time that I want to be there at that specific time.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point, Stephen. And it's also the exercise of, Phil, I don't know what your motivation is for, aside from taking photos, is like your daily walk or whatever, but just the ritual of going back to the same place over and over again and capturing new stuff versus, oh, I went to Sea Ranch and I did some shots. They were okay. Now I'm going down to Santa Cruz, and never quite plumbing deep enough to pull out the nuances of a shot, which you seem to be doing really, really well, Phil.
Oh, you're very kind. I feel like I haven't scratched the surface yet, really, after I look at these. It's quite an amazing thing after 3 years.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
All right. And critique number, that was 176. The topic was open. 170. Oops. Let me bring these up. Show the sidebar, please. Hang on, let me stop the share, move this to a different screen so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so Stand by. All right.
I think we have more people here than we do want to hang out.
Before we move on, I just want to say that I have really found this group to be so welcoming and supportive of these strange pictures I've been taking for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's been really gratifying to me to be part of it. So I just want to say that between these forums and the mixers and the critique things, it's been, and the pictures on the community, it's been really, really helpful to me.
Very good. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, we're good to have you. All right, so here it is. Let's leave the thumbnails up because they tend to disappear if I don't show them. All right, so that was Phil's. Then 176, 177 was this one. Nora Zanatis. Nora, I kept seeing your name in here over and over again.
Absolutely.
I went back. I don't know if we get to my list, but I went back and I just randomly went through topics I liked and I picked my favorites. And when I was all done, I was like, out of 12 images, 5 of them were Nora's.
Yeah, easily.
Oh,
Thank you.
Beautiful work. Beautiful work.
I'm sorry to announce, Nora, that you are no longer eligible to participate in these photos.
That's not true.
It's not. No, this is great. So Nora, tell us the story behind the image.
So this is in Japan, northern Japan, Hokkaido, and these are red-headed, red-crested cranes. And at night, they all flock to this point in the river. The river is sort of much wider, so this is about a third of it, and rest here for the night as a group. And in the morning, they all start to move around, and then they all fly off to the fields to eat, and then come back to roost at night. So there's a bridge in Japan where you can stand on the bridge and shoot down the river. And so many people came to shoot that they built a second bridge just for the photographers because they were blocking traffic, right?
Amazing.
And so to get a good spot by the rail, you have to be there at like about 4 or 5 in the morning. Sun rises around 6. So what you're seeing here is the first early morning light. We came here 2 mornings, and this morning was the better morning because there was hoarfrost. So if the conditions are right in terms of humidity and temperature, you get this microfrost on the trees. And that's why the trees look white. The day before there was no hoarfrost, so the trees were all just black limbs.
wow, that's super cool. I'm really amazed at the whole get up at 4 in the morning twice in a row. See, this is that dedication thing Stephen was talking about. I don't think I could do that, but so
when there's a group, and the bus is going, there was I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one that says, "Hey, where's Nora?" Oh, she slept in, right?
Yeah. So we were all there, and the bus was still there, right? So you could go and warm up because it was like really, really cold.
But it really does speak to the idea that 1, time of day, and 2, the most important thing is you just got to show up. And I think for new photographers or photographers that are kind of getting started or just trying to expand their repertoire of images, like you got to show up, and so that's just really super important. So
Can I just ask a question, Nora?
Sure.
The 3 birds there in the middle that we're looking at, did you time it or wait for it so that one head was up, one was in the middle, and one was down? Or is that just a bit of serendipity?
Serendipity.
Okay. I'll take serendipity anytime.
Yeah.
I just
That's
love the
awesome.
body language of the birds. You know, not only the birds in the foreground, but just the birds in the background as well. You know, they're just kind of all hanging with each other and kind of, you know.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you can tell that amongst themselves, it you know has this feel of a community, which is really nice.
So if you guys don't know the photographer Galen Rowell, you should check him out. From he had Mountain Light Gallery in, I think it was in Bishop for a while, and there's a really interesting story that he tells about how he photographed this rainbow. And I don't remember what the temple was over this temple, but he was teaching a class, and you know the rainbow showed up, and he took off running to photograph it, and it was all about, you know, recognizing an opportunity and being there and putting the work in. And you can find like some of his old videos on YouTube. But one of the things he says, like landscape photography is an action sport. And you watch him running as the sun is setting in Joshua Tree, and he's running to the next Joshua Tree and then running to the next one. And I just thought that's so cool, right? Like it's not about the gear or, you know, it's or the apps or whatever. It's like, oh, I see where the light's going and I need to be there. So
yeah.
Galen also had a wonderful photograph of a wolf in a blizzard. And I remember the story that his photography friends were all inside in the blizzard, right, hunkering down. And he went out into the blizzard and got this amazing shot of a wolf in a blizzard.
Yeah, he always said, you know, bad weather is when you go out. Good weather is when you stay in, you know, because it's that 1 in a million opportunity for a sun ray to come through. Or so good on you, Nora, for showing up.
Yeah, beautiful image.
Yeah.
I like the way
too. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
I like the way that the brightness of it creates this nice C curve leading line. If you start in the right bottom of the corner, go toward the birds, and then the brightness kind of goes up between the trees and the water, and it just makes this gorgeous leading line through it.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a good kind of inspiration to spend that money that you were going to spend on that new iPhone and go on a trip, right? And go on a photo trip and get those kind of trips. I imagine, Nora, these kind of trips yield many more usable photos than buying the next hot lens or whatever. And new friendships and experiences and all that to boot, right? For probably cheaper.
Well, and for me, I mean, because I'm more of a beginning photographer compared to many in the group, I learned a huge amount on this trip, you know, because you're shooting white birds against white snow. How do you set up for that type of thing? I learned how to do it in manual rather than aperture priority and stuff like that. So I learned a lot in these trips, as well as, you know, you get to these great locations.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to plan it, right? I think a lot of things that stop a lot of people is, I don't know where to go. I want to go to this area, but I'm afraid I'm going to end up in a bad situation, you know, so I'll just stay home or go someplace that I know, and you end up in the same sort of eddy, repeating the same things. So yeah, having a trip where it's pre-planned and, you know, at least safer than if you were going by yourself, lets you focus on the photography a little more, I think.
Well, I think here, because I'm in Japan, you get a lot of exposure to the culture and stuff with the group. Where if I was traveling alone, I don't think I would have necessarily gotten as much. You know, there's places where I go with a group, and there's places where I travel alone and just rent a car and, you know, drive for a week. But it depends on the location.
Oh, that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, like you don't want to be like, say, Brazil for, you know, one of the Carnival festivals or something, which would seem great. Let's go down there, pictures and floats and feathers and all that stuff. But, you know, the crime there is really high, and you show up there with your Nikon Z9 and $50,000 worth of lenses, smiling, taking pictures, not paying attention. Yeah, it could end badly. So yeah, this is really good. I love this. Thanks, Nora. Next up is Stephen Scharf, 178 Seascape.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I know this looks painterly, Stephen. This looks like Norman Rockwell. At least this is a shot that would inspire a Norman Rockwell to create in paint. Tell us about the background of this one.
Yeah, so this was literally the day that I bought my first Fuji mirrorless camera. Calumet had a sale on Fuji cameras in December of 2012, I believe. And so they knocked, I don't know, $400 or $500 off the camera, and so I bought that and the standard lens, which I think is the 18 to 55 lens for it. And because it was over in San Francisco, you know where it is, Frederick. I just drove down the coast and drove down past Half Moon Bay, and this is at Pigeon Point. So this was a working lighthouse until some years ago along, the coasts of, like there's the one up in Oregon that Amy's photographed and stuff as well, same design. And this was literally, I think, the third photograph I took with the camera. I'd stopped at a beach on the way down, I took one, and then I took one of I showed it over a member mixer. I took one at the little stagecoach stopping place to get a sandwich in available light. I took Troy and Margie there back in 2019 timeframe, I think, the 2020 timeframe. So they know where it is. And then I stopped here, and I think it was just the third photo I took with my X Pro 1. And what I liked about, moving away from the Canon Pro bodies that I shot with for a long time, was the camera has, as you know, the first series had more manual style control. So there was an actual dial for shutter speed and, ring on the lens for aperture. And I liked how it slowed me down in the process of making visualizing a photograph, and then taking a photograph and making sure everything was correct on the camera. And when I was seeing through the viewfinder, it created a more deliberative thought process for me, as opposed to firing away at MotoGP bikes at 140 miles an hour on a series body, right? And so I liked the fact that it was taking me back to my roots of shooting with an Olympus OM1 for 22 years straight, right from 1980 till 2022 or 2012 when I bought this camera. And the fact that it made me be more deliberative, I think, helped my photography and helped my process of seeing. And I love the image quality. Fuji made film for many years, and so they had these very nice ways of taking the color off the sensor and creating an image that had a filmic quality to it as well. So yeah, that's kind of the story. It's just sunset at Pigeon Point, and I think it was the third photo I ever took with an interchangeable lens Fuji.
I look at this shot and I'm thinking a lot of things. It's a great shot. I think one of the things is infrared. How would this have rendered in infrared with all that greenery on the coastline, on the cliffs there? Would it have changed? Well, obviously it would have changed the look of it fundamentally, but what would that have looked like? Or would it have not been successful because it's just too bright of a scene? Then the second thing is, what if you had added some Phil Lewenthal to that water? Right?
I like the lighting in the scene. And I like the sense that there's some dynamism with the waves coming in. You can kind of see the waves down at the lower right kind of breaking onto the beach. There's clearly dynamism in the sky with the clouds rolling through the sky at this time of day, and it's in December, so you've got nice quality of light. This time of day was probably, I don't know, 4:15 in the afternoon, something like this, right? So the sun hadn't gone down yet, but there was nice quality of light, and it just holds nice memories for me, because it was like, this is one of the first memorable photographs I took with my Fuji, and I liked the fact that camera system. After shooting motorsports with big ass pro DSLRs for a long time, kind of forced me to slow down intellectually in thinking about the kinds of photographs I wanted to make.
Stephen, do you find that you're having that similar quantum shift from, as you did when you went from DSLR, the weight and the size and the heft of that, to the Fuji mirrorless, and now adding iPhone to the mix now? Is it that same kind of dynamic and quantum shift of, oh, I can do a lot more with a little?
I think for me, because I'm, scientifically minded and very requirements driven, I'm thinking about the technological capabilities of the camera in terms of how it can deliver functionality with respect to meeting requirements. I know that sounds like very technically geeky, but that's how I think about things. And for me, what I always liked about the Fujis is that they forced me to be more deliberative. The iPhone does other things that I think is cool, like the iPhone will do a window pull for you without having to do a freaking bunch of layer masks and darken mode in Photoshop, right? When I shoot interior real estate, I don't have to do all that shit anymore. And so I'm very, with respect to cameras, I'm very requirements and application driven, right? And so for a day out like this, I just like a slower, more deliberative process. And the Fujis are consistent with, being able to kind of work that way.
Yeah.
This would have looked amazing in infrared, by the way.
Really? What would it have looked like? The blues in the sky would have gone black, I'm guessing, or would the clouds have gone black? Like how would it have worked?
No, the clouds would have gone sort of contrasty. The shadowy side would have been a little darker, but the blue would have gone even darker. And then the greenery on the front of the cliff would have most likely, depending on the foliage, would most likely have gone light. So it would have been very different. It would have had a very different contrast, layering and stuff. So it would have felt like a very different image, which is cool because you're photographing a light spectrum that we don't see, right? So it's like seeing another universe just under ours, which is maybe the reason that I like it, because
I know I was gonna say it's a multiverse, right?
Yeah, that's why I like it so much. It's like
I think what I like about what Troy's saying, and with respect to your question, Frederick, is that with these different modalities of rendering an image, or a photograph, what kind of thought process does that drive about thinking about things that may not be, immediately apparent with your own eyes, right? Like it helps you to visualize a different way of seeing, right? And that's always helpful with photography because it's about seeing, not just looking.
Yeah. Very good. Well, congratulations, Stephen. Good shot. Very nice. All right. Next up, 179. The topic was columns, and Karen Sweeney shared this one as a favorite. Yeah. Look at that. Well, Karen's not here. I don't even know what that is.
So that could have been like a kitchen utensil. I don't remember what it was.
Right. I don't know either. Something non-organic, it looks like. I don't know. I love this. This fit in for the column category, obviously it was the winner for that. I don't know. I wish Karen was here to explain this to us, but what do you guys think? What do you think of the shot on the merits of it fitting into the category of columns and just as a photograph standalone?
Mr. Fampley, what do you think, Mr. Sleepy Man? I'm trying to wake you up a little bit.
No, I'm awake. I think it's very, very beautiful. I love how it's soft on one side, sharp, and then sort of, it's almost like it's moving as you look at it in terms of the clarity, the sharpness, the tones of the blacks and the whites and the grays. It's whatever it is, we'll need to find out because it is really, really lovely. Very, very pleasing to the eye. I mean, you're right. It could be a macro shot of something, or it's some massive industrial complex in Scotland where she is.
Yeah. I like the fact that where it's in focus is sort of on a rule of thirds, right? It's sort of on that right third. And if it wasn't in focus there, or if that was where the sharpness was, like it would feel kind of off balance to me. But I feel like that's where the subject is, even though technically it's all the same subject. It's just that amazing use of depth of field
but you look at the sharpness and you look at where it's soft and trying to figure out what the details are, what's actually making it.
Right.
And it must be round stainless steel pipes or something, or tubes or wire filaments. But yeah, we don't have a sense of scale. It could be big or small, and it's just very pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, I agree.
Very cool.
She did a great job.
I'm curious what you guys saw. We beginning of the year and last year we were poking fun at borders and having that conversation. When I look at a shot like this, this is very well put together, obviously because it was a favorite. but I'm looking at the key line around there and the border. What's the group opinion on that? Does it work for this image, or would it have been better without the key line and or border, or use one of them, or is it fine as is? What's the group consensus?
I like it. I think it's supportive of the narrative of the photo, but not overly so. So it doesn't draw attention to itself, but it lends a supporting, I guess, gestalt to the photograph. I
think she picked a great color for that. And one thing about this picture that I really like is how just the imagination to say, well, it looks like it could be columns, and to really work it and put it in. I mean, I think that's, that's a, rather than saying going out and find some actual columns someplace, which it probably is not, to sort of say, okay, I can find something that looks enough like columns and can impersonate columns, and I can make something out of it. Yeah, I think she did a great job with that.
The border itself, to me, it almost feels like a frame that you're looking through, a window.
Yeah.
And then so you're looking through onto this structure, however big or small it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I've forgotten this one. This is a beautiful photo. Yeah,
it adds dimension, right? The border makes it definitely makes it feel, it's and with the orientation of the columns, it makes it feel 3D, a little more like you're looking through a portal and you kind of can look underneath and see more of it. But I agree. I like it.
Plus, that key line is just inside the black frame around the picture, so you still get a little bit of the black frame, and you get the key line as well. So the key line doesn't blend into the picture completely, as it would if there was
separation between the subject and the frame.
Yeah.
Like on that, what do you guys think? I'm curious. Like if you were to do a shot like this and you knew its ultimate location is gonna hang on the wall, in some gallery installation or someplace, would you still do keyline border, or hang it frameless, like print it on metal or something and hang it frameless and let the post-processing border and key line just sort of exist to literally frame the image? Or would you print it full bleed all the way to the edge and add a physical black frame, a real frame on the image, and hang it if you knew it was going to hang on the wall? Like this one, if its destination is online and Instagram and all those places, no. But if you're going to hang it in a gallery, would you frame it? I don't know.
For me, if I was to frame it to hang on my wall, it would be a black frame, a simple black frame. But I'd probably have a white mat rather than a black mat.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I probably print it on metal and have the the border and the key line be part of the print on metal, and then just hang the metal picture on the wall, with this around it, just to kind of get separation. So I think it would look great on metal.
I think metal would be a killer in this thing. It really would.
Right? Yeah. No, for sure. Lovely. All right. Next up, Eric Pronsky. The title or the topic was arches.
Damn.
All right. This was taken in Italy on the Ponte Vecchio Bridge, I think it's called. It's in Florence. And so this is, and I just like the way these arches were just all perfectly. Thank you, Italian Renaissance architects, because I thought this was pretty cool the way it was really perfect. I mean, this thing is like, I think in the 1500s or something, 1600s. Anyway, I just like the way it all lined up. And I think there was a person on the end of it. I was lucky that I had to wait a few minutes because there's people walking through this thing all the time. And so, no, this is a single image. And then I thought it just looked best in black and white with a sepia tone on it. And so I did quite a bit of just walking around and trying to work the best angle on the arches. And this is what I came up with.
So Eric, I was thinking the same thing. It's just amazing to me that they had the measurement technology, in those days to make these so geometrically aligned down the depth of that entire corridor, and to have it, you've got a curved surface at the top, curved shape at the top, right? And yet they all line up. The columns are all perfectly vertical. Everything's stacked geometrically perfectly all the way down. It just makes me wonder, how did they pull that off?
Yeah, it's amazing.
They had lasers in the 1400s, you know.
Yeah.
So.
No.
Well, you know, even if you, oh, go ahead.
What they had was they had string.
Yeah, I know.
And that, look at Raphael, he's over there nodding his head. I've built so many things. I'm like, that's not hard to do with string and some stakes, you know. But it is still amazing, right? It is still an amazingly beautiful thing. And I do appreciate, Eric, that you found a perspective that not only used the columns but used the light that was
well, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's all the natural light coming in from the left side, and so
but you recognized it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you recognized it, and you took the effort to photograph it and find the angle. So you got light coming in from the left. You got that light that's following us, drawing us through the tunnel. If those elements weren't there, it would still be a cool shot, but it would be incredibly flat. If it was just had soft light. So good on you for seeing that. And I think that kind of leads into this idea that a lot of times, as photographers, we might learn a skill and then we kind of forget it, or we don't realize that we're using a perception to see light and contrast and texture. And yet we look at a thing and go, wow, that just looks really cool.
Yeah, because the light reveals the texture.
Yeah. I just like how it's not only weathered, but it's dirty. You've got the stains on the outer edges where people, as they've walked by, they've grabbed the wall. You've got the cracking paint at the top. I don't know what the splattered is on the bottom of the columns or the arches, but this is there you go. So it's just thousands of years of life and it's still standing.
I'll just
that was one of the reasons. That was one of the reasons I made it into black and white too.
That's awesome.
Kind of.
So Eric was in Italy, so he knows this, but the Italians have this interesting sensibility. They let things just kind of age and weather on their own externally, and then you walk inside and they're done to the nines in terms of design and materials and textures and colors, and it's all very beautiful and clean and modern and everything, but everything on the exterior just kind of like they just let it go, and whatever it is, it's how it ends up, and then you walk inside and it's freaking gorgeous. They just
pristine. Yeah.
But if this was a new build, this was brand new, everything was clean and precise, it wouldn't have the feeling of this image. This is really beautiful.
And I think the Italians know that. That's why they just let stuff kind of age the way it ages. They don't worry about it.
I think it's hang on. I think Paolo's on, so we can't say too much about Italians, but
Paolo, you better defend against the Australians.
Because what do we know about? We've got 200 years to look at.
I'm just a bit ashamed about a lot of, dirt sprays that there are on the bottom of the pillars.
But that makes the photo, though, Paolo. If it was clean,
totally.
it would just, that's, you need those details.
Yeah,
I would very much like it to be clean. Just to say, as much as I like the grit and texture, I would have. I look at this like, ooh, I could take a bride in there, but I got to be really, really careful not to let her dress touch anything.
You know what? I think that putting it in black and white was a very wise decision. In color, the same grit is not rendering that well.
Mm-hmm.
So Paolo, why don't you just drive down, because this is in Florence, right? Drive down with some Windex and stuff and clean that shit off. Make it look nice.
There you go. Yeah, Peter's coming through, so he needs some clean, please.
Yeah. Power wash.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Paolo knows that I'm joking, right?
Yeah. He's not calibrated.
Hasn't gone, has he? He hasn't gone.
Paolo may not know you as well as the rest of us do, Peter, so be gentle.
And that's a blessing, Paolo.
No, I love Paolo's images. And when I go to Italy, I'm going to his place, milk some cows and some goats and stuff and hang out. Because where he lives, there's some great looking scenery.
I wait for you.
Yes, I'm coming. The euro is now 95 cents.
I bring you for a hike.
No, forget that shit. I'm going to come to your house and just eat.
That's awesome.
Paolo, correct me if I'm wrong, but even 2,000 years ago, the Italian architects, when they were designing the troughs or the things to come in from the springs from outside Rome to deliver the water into the baths, they knew that a 10-degree incline would let just the right amount of water come from the springs into those baths and not flood them out, and be the water flowing out of the baths and flowing into the baths was matched, because they knew what the incline of the water coming in had to be, the water, what was carrying the water in. So the aqueduct or whatever, you know.
Those were the Romans.
Yeah, the Romans, yeah.
Well, where do you think the Romans
without GPS?
Yeah. Where do you think the Romans got it from? They got it from the Australians, the Australian architects.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they told them how to do that shit.
They were there on holiday.
Yes, on holiday.
They were backpacking through Rome at the time.
10 degrees. 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
For arches. Very nice.
Yeah.
And Eric, you could stay on stage, I think, because this is you as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I don't know if you guys ever, thank you. I'm very flattered. Have you guys been to San Antonio? And there's the hotel called the Palacio del Rio. It's a Hilton. It's probably, I think it was built for the Hemisphere in '68. So, but it's an old hotel on Riverwalk. And it's a midday, early afternoon shot. And I just had this, this is a 300 millimeter picture. And this just kind of lined up like this. I saw the, just what you're seeing now. It was just, so it's just, those are hotel balconies. Okay. And those are balconies, what you're seeing of the different floors of the window. And it just, I don't know, just sort of lined up.
Did you go there to get the shot, or were you there?
No, I really was just walking on the Riverwalk with my wife. And
with a 300?
Well, it's a, you know what it was, a 7300. It was, you know what it was? It was a 55-200 on an APC camera. Okay, mirrorless. Okay, so it was.
I just want to take in the whole picture that you're on. You're walking with your wife, like
a big old 300. Yeah, that 302.8.
Yeah. As many of us have probably done. Like, hang on, honey, before we go to dinner and go on the walk, let me grab the 300 in case I see something. And she, of course, very, very accommodatingly, like, okay, dear, right? Like, because that's who you are. That's what we do.
She is like that for sure.
I know.
And they're done that.
You know that your family has you figured out when your wife and daughter get out of the car and they wait patiently while you dig through the bag and decide, what do I want to shoot with today?
Busted.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you. So
this is really cool.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I think you said something about cropping off that black on the left side during
right here. Yeah. Right there. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think that was the only comment on this one, as I recall. Beautiful shot. Beautiful shot.
Thank you.
All right. And up next is Nora. Again, Nora Zanotinus for the win. The topic of this one was household. Eric's was patterns, that last one. This one is household. Nora, tell us, bring us into this scene. Is Nora here? Did Nora drop off? Oh, no, Nora, you're muted.
Muted.
This is Bhutan, and this is a farmer's house, and it's fall there, and which is why you see all the greenery from hanging in the ceilings, because they're drying it, because there's essentially no refrigeration. And we were there for lunch. So their living room, dining room, kitchen is basically a big room, and this is where they live in the room. And so, you sat around in a circle on the floor, and, they served you lunch. And the entire time, this little boy was, watching the TV, and every now and then he'd hit it, to get the picture going good. They only got electricity in the 1980s. So the TVs tend to be sort of older. I took the picture, A, because I like the light coming in through the window, and B, there was just so much interesting stuff to look at. And, this isn't a minimalist picture. This is more a tons of interesting detail picture.
Absolutely. Well, it's Sid from Ice Age on TV.
Mm-hmm. What's that hanging from the ceiling, Nora?
It's a greenery, sort of like lettuce kale, but not lettuce or kale. It's a greenery that they would dry and then use in cooking throughout the year. So if you look, I have other shots at other angles. The whole ceiling is this drying. And I had shots outside where they were drying meat as well for the winter season. And so this is the only way they tend to preserve the stuff.
What time of day was this?
Sorry?
What time of day did you shoot this?
This would have been just after lunch. So according to the clock there, it's 1:40.
Peter,
Just checking.
I like the fact that you've got these two cases, the one with the little objects in it, and then the one with the TV on it, that kind of lead you into the middle where the TV is. And the light, the way the light is on those towels on the right and that poster on the left is very subtle, and everything kind of moves you towards the little boy in the TV. It's very compelling sight lines in this.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people don't see the little boy at once. They sort of see the other stuff, and then all of a sudden they see the boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this looks like one of those shots where you can zoom in and in a bunch of different locations, and there's a little story in each photo. Like there's one with just the boy, watching the television, and then there's those towels over there, and what's that about, and the things inside of that cabinet to the right there, like what's that about? There's all kinds of, you can get lost in there. It's really cool.
And I think the other thing is it's similar to what you're familiar with, mm-hmm. but different, mm-hmm. which is, I like that sort of, I recognize the things, but this isn't what our typical house would look like.
Yeah. How was the food, Nora, at lunch?
You don't go to Bhutan for the food.
although now, the last 3 years, they've revamped the food across the entire country, and you pay a $250 a day premium as just an entry fee on top of everything else, your accommodation. And the food is now world-class food because their traditional dish is chili cheese.
Yes.
Okay, so they had cheese and chilies, and it's normally goat cheese because the altitude is so high. And they eat that to keep their blood, warm and circulating and everything. These guys are at a really high altitude. But this is a luxurious house for Bhutan standards. I mean, this is because they've got a TV, they've got electricity, like Nora said. But, a lot of them don't live in this kind of, shelter.
Yeah, well, we're in the more central area here. So the further out you get, the smaller the houses and stuff. The other thing is these people would be getting some money from the agency to host us for lunch.
Yeah.
And so I have another shot where you see the stove, and originally it was just sort of like coal-fired hump, and then theirs is this very rigid, structured thing where you could have put wood in it. Yeah. But now they don't use it, but you can see all the rice makers lined up on it because they have electricity, and, rice is, in this area, rice is the sort of the staple starch.
Yeah, because all the rice comes from India. They trade with India. They trade electricity because of the hydro, and they trade with India, and they have a very really good relationship with regards to, you know, how both of those economies work.
Nora, or Peter, have either of you ever gotten ill from eating on one of these adventures to, you know, a place like this?
I've only gotten ill once in Mexico, and it turned out to be the beer.
Oh,
Wow.
what?
So the beer had, and I didn't notice it until afterwards, there was mold on the inside of the bottle. And so I stopped drinking it, but boy, was I sick the next day.
I mean,
but other than that, no.
The only time I've been sick in 40 years traveling was the last trip, 2020, in Bhutan, and at the Hilton Hotel in Yangon. I mean, a 5-star hotel, something wrong with the seafood, you know, vomiting and diarrhea for a day and a half after that. But, you know, it's a good weight loss program.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, you know, when you go to specific countries, there'll be rules like, you know, don't eat fruit unless you can peel it. You know, don't eat vegetables unless they're cooked. So depending on where you are, you do different. I follow the rules as recommended not to get sick. So
yeah.
I mean, like using your bottled water to do your brushing of your teeth, using, you know, not, you know, eating ice cubes in places and lettuce and salads because you don't know how they're washing it. You just got to follow the rules. You follow the rules, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. But even with that bottled water thing, I was in Mexico once and, you know, looked down an alley and I saw this woman down there with a bunch of empty bottles in a bottle capping machine. Filling them up from a spigot and
and they're notorious for that. And what they do is they put a little bit of super glue on the cap so that when you get the bottle, it's like, oh, okay, it's a real one because it's like a little harder. You just got to buy, if you can, a brand. If you're cautious, then you buy, you know, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, or buy beer. But I've never heard anyone get sick from beer. But Jesus, Nora, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I went to Mexico, in Vietnam, I had the Camelback water bottle with the ultraviolet top.
Yeah.
So you just fill it with water, put the thing on there, hit the button, and it's supposed to, quote, kill 99%. I don't know how they measure that, but killed 99% of whatever's in there. So I would get it if I couldn't get bottled water, even bottled water, I'd put it in that thing, put the top on it, hit the button. It's like 60 seconds later, it should be ready. I would do that 2 or 3 times.
And then put iodine in there, and then put the chlorine in there.
Sit in the sun.
and that's why Frederick's teeth are so white.
Hey, Frederick, exactly. You didn't get sick, right?
I didn't. Not one time.
No.
There you go.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was why I didn't get sick, but I'm sure it didn't hurt. So
no.
Cool. Well, Nora, thank you. Thank you for sharing this amazing image. I love it. It's good to see it again. All right. Up next is James Glennie. The topic of this critique was junk drawer. Junk drawer. And James isn't here, I don't think so.
But the question is, why does he have so many? Yeah, why does he have so many beer bottle caps in his junk drawer?
Memory.
Photo.
Alcoholic.
Exactly. Says the hoarder.
Yes. Yes.
So you can tell a lot about a person by the kind of beer they drink. What does this tell you about James Glennie?
He's a cheap bastard. That's all shit stuff. That's crap. You're not going to drink that bloody blue. That's blue. That's the cheapest beer you can get in Canada. It's fucking crap.
What is that? Is that the old Milwaukee's best equivalent in Canada?
Worse.
James, you should have shown up to defend yourself against Peter. That's all we're saying.
James, sorry you're not here, but it's on, man. Sorry.
Jesus. It's a good photo.
Yeah, fun shot, right? Yeah. So remember the topic. Part of these critiques.
He did have a story about why.
Oh, go ahead, Troy. Sorry.
Oh, he did have a story about why he had these bottle caps. I don't remember, so you'll have to go back to episode 183 and rewatch it because I think there is an explanation.
Yeah. The topic of this one obviously was junk drawer. I think part of the decision to pick this one as a favorite was this is obvious, found items in a junk drawer and very well executed. And one of the things Troy and I, we talk, and everybody, I guess, we talk about in those critiques is the having even a thread of a story in the shots, you know, to kind of pull you as the viewer in. And this one, even us, you know, giving him crap about buying cheap beer, it pulls us in. There's a story and a narrative behind the shot. So.
And it's cropped really well. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Really good. Really good.
And the way they're sort of laid out in like a triangular shape, leading you up the line to the left, is very cool. It's just an interesting still life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Peter, of all these beers, which one would you drink?
Oh, Jesus. If I was desperate.
You have to drink one of them. You're dying of thirst. Really,
I mean, Alpine's not bad, but Jesus Christ, they taste so bad.
So, Peter, isn't the red bottle cap Simha? I mean, that would be the one I'd be drinking.
The red one, yeah. Yeah, 8067, that's not bad. But it's like, if you're really desperate and you're an alcoholic and you need a fix and you got... I think his wife drank all these, right? She's in rehab now. Boy, that's another Glenn. Sorry, Glenn.
See, Glenn, that's what you get for that coming.
At least it's not VB though, Peter.
Oh God, no one drinks that shit either, Craig. Come on.
What is it? What is it?
VB, Victoria Bitter.
Victoria Bitter and Foster's is promoted around the world as what Australians drink. No Australian drinks that shit. Nobody. But people go, Foster's.
I've had half of the VB on a flight, and I had to give it back to the lady. I said, "No, I can't drink this." I was desperate for a beer. I said, "No, thank you."
Well, that was probably after you had diarrhea and all that other stuff that goes along with it.
Well,
I've never been a beer drinker. I can drink it, but like I've never been that person that can just go get a 6-pack and just kill it. Right? I can sip a beer and be okay with it. I'm more of a whiskey type person.
Well, growing up in Australia, we learn when you're 9 years old, your parents give you beer and you drink beer and you smoke cigarettes. And then, you know, see if you like it or you don't. That's how we start.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's why you guys are so tough. Beer and cigarettes at 9.
Well.
All right.
Peter's only 25 though.
What did you say, Nora?
Beer is a great thing to drink when you're traveling. Because other than my little episode in Mexico, the beer is usually safe to drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
it's got protein. It's got protein.
That's drink low alcohol beer.
No, it's got protein. It's got sugars in it. It's got enzymes. It makes you regular. Makes you happy. Yeah.
All right. Beer. Yeah. How do you say it, Peter? Beer.
Beer, mate. You got to have a bloody beer, mate.
Peter.
There's no R in there. It's just beer.
Yeah, beer. Move along.
Love it. All right. Next up is Stephen Scharf with Ringo, Batcat.
Oh, God.
The topic of this critique was Secret Life of Pets. Stephen, take us into Ringo's world.
Yeah. So Ringo's an adoptee from my local Humane Society. And Troy's met Ringo a number of times, but Ringo, I've had cats my entire life, as many of you guys have. But Ringo is the most incredible feline athlete I have ever seen, hands down. And he does stuff I've never seen any other cat do. I think I've told you guys the story that you haven't been here, Frederick, but Troy knows I live, in a condo that's above a series of garages. So there's stairs that lead up to the level that I live on. And Ringo will run through the house and jump into the air near the stairs that go down to a small landing, and he'll turn sideways and jump off the wall to launch himself down onto the landing. And sometimes he'll do it twice, and he'll go down 2 sets of stairs. And he does this for fun. So the photo on the left literally is that's my neighbor's garage door that you see in the background, and he decided one day he was just going to scale the stonework that is on the side of our condo for fun, right? Why not? And then I was out with him on a walk, and he decided to do the same thing on one of the neighbors' backyard patio fences, right? He does this kind of stuff all the time. So I thought that was inappropriate for Ringo's secret life being Batcat. And the fact he's all black, I think, helps. But he's just a ridiculous. The cats are amazing athletes, but Ringo's a ridiculous athlete.
Yeah, love it. How big is Ringo? Is he like a gigantic cat, or?
He's about 14 or 15 pounds. He's I would say slightly larger than average size, but he's not the size of a Maine Coon or anything like that. But he's very muscular. He's very much like a small leopard. If you imagine,
he's a big cat by cat standards. He's a big cat. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's very slim and muscular, and he's like, it's like living with a miniature leopard. In fact, you may have heard me refer to him, and sometimes I refer to him on my Instagram post as the notorious RBL Ringo Black Leopard, because he's always doing crazy shit that I've never seen any other cat do, in an athletic sense. So his secret life is that he's actually Batcat, and he may as well go scaling around buildings because that's what Batman does, and that's what Batcat does.
That's right. Cool. We'll have to do this topic again. Secret life of pets, or pets in general. I like this one. Was fun.
Yeah, it was.
All right, and back to the stage. Thank you, Stephen. Back to the stage is Nora Zanotnis again for minimum. Oh, no, this one was Go with the Flow. Go with the Flow. Nora, what is this?
Where is this? Somewhere near water.
I have just so many great images. I get lost in them.
Remember, I thought it was looking down.
So I'm thinking it's the Pacific Northwest coast. I've been sailing there a number of times, so I'm assuming it's on one of the sailing trips.
Yeah. You can make anything up. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of I know this photographer that does aerials like this of different, from various altitudes, showing abstracts of just planetary patterns. This looks like one of those where, would be sort of those would be valleys or something, kind of extending into a landmass. Yep.
Yeah, I like this one particularly because it sort of evoked a landscape sort of feel.
Yep.
That, like, you have shots of other ones, but they just didn't give you that other sense of location.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think what's cool about it, Nora, is that it escapes constraints of what comprises scale in a photograph, right? So your imagination is kind of free to think about what could this be a photograph of, because of the way that it portrays scale in a more abstract way, right? It could be a close-up, but it could be, like Frederick said, an aerial photograph of streams or something, making ingress into a landmass or something. So it's kind of free from normal boundaries of like, how we might be constrained by thinking about what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be almost anything when you think about it, right? Yeah. Down to a landscape scale, or up to a landscape scale, or down to like a electron microscope scale.
It also has, like, it has kind of the you heard me talk about chaos the other day, but trees kind of branch out in a chaotic manner as well, and it could almost look like tree forms or something evolving on a landscape as well, right? There's enough definition and delineation of form there that it could be, some trees on an alien planet or something as well. So,
yep. Well, folks, we are, where are we at? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more images that we're going to chat about. We're about 10 minutes past the scheduled allotted time for this meeting, so feel free to hang around. If you have something to do, you can feel free to log off. There'll be a replay of this available shortly, later today or later in the afternoon. So, but if your image comes up, we will be sure to trash you. So all right, and next,
I like the way I want to say about this one. I really like the way she sort of created this sort of shoreline, if you will, along the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, down here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is nice. Next one is Irvin B. Penn, who I don't believe is here. It was minimalism. I think this one was done. I think Troy, you picked this one as a favorite. I think or did you? Maybe no. This was Curtis. I think was this when we did the thing with Curtis, and Curtis did the whole talk on minimalism, and he did the whole course on it for Creative Live.
Yeah.
But Irvin's not here, so let's talk about his image behind his back. What do you guys think?
Well, I love a really sharp photo. And, the bird is so crispy clean and crispy sharp. I mean, it's just very appealing. It's great.
Peter's tongue-in-cheekness never fails.
Take it with an iPhone.
Soft. It is soft, right? This is a little soft.
You give me a rash of shit every time I put stuff in. Oh, that's soft in the bottom right-hand corner at the third pixel from the left. I mean, really, Troy? Anyway,
not me.
I'll say no more. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful image.
Yeah. Composition-wise, I do like this image. I think, is this infrared? Is that why the sky is black, Troy, do you think?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's super easy to convert something like this in post to make the sky go dark. So if it was a dark blue sky, if it was underexposed for the sky so that the clouds had detail, the blue would go dark anyway. So.
All right.
So, no way to know.
All right, Irvin Penn, thank you for that shot. And 190
another Nora
was Nora.
Nora again.
Complexity. This was complexity from Nora. Come on, this is a fantastic shot. I love this.
Lovely. Yeah, this is really lovely.
Nora's like, I got to talk again.
Shots.
So this is just a seed head that I had cut and put on my window. It's still on my windowsill. And I had liked the way that they had sort of chained and held on to each other in the air.
Nature's Velcro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. What was the background here? Did you bring a sheet of typing paper out there to get the
No,
back there?
on this window I have a sheet of almost translucent sort of packing foam.
Mm-hmm.
So it lets the light through, but that the traffic outside the motion doesn't bother my peripheral vision. And so that's sort of all it was.
That's it. Simplicity. It was so this wasn't a planned shot. This was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. Let me go get a shot. Or was it, did you have this in mind before you pressed the shutter button?
Oh, I had this in mind before I pressed the button. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. And Nora, stay on stage because this next one is you too.
So this was a cute little boy in Kathmandu. So we were in sort of a market area. He was sitting at the back of his mom's stall where she was selling clothes and stuff. And so we made a little eye contact and I got a few shots of him.
Very nice. The topic for this critique was youth, by the way. Youth.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Brilliant shot. Yeah.
Right. And next is James Glennie, I believe. Yes. James Glennie with Fire. Look at that. That's fun. Troy, I know you have comments about this because you are a resident pyromaniac.
No, I know that this was a composite of a couple frames that he put together, but the way that he handled the fire I thought was really, really cool. And fire is one of those things that it doesn't really get photographed a lot, but we see it all the time, right? With candles and campfires and all those kind of things. But it's really, really not easy to photograph. Like we take it for granted that fire is just like, oh, I could just photograph that. As like Stephen and Frederick and Peter know, like if you come to my house, you'll end up by my campfire and we'll probably start throwing things in it that make sparkles and then pretty soon everybody wants to take pictures. So fire is really fun.
Yep. And for those that don't know, Troy lives in Southern California, fire central of the world. So, Troy, you better not see a fire down there if you're like, yeah, we think it originated in Corona. We're not sure
In Corona?
where.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's a giveaway. When you go to his barbecue, he's got 4 fire extinguishers around the barbecue. So it's like, really? You need that many? Well, you have the magnesium explodes and the copper. Well, I got to put it out before it burns the house down.
That's right.
And dynamite can get out of control, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a cool shot. How do you think you did those? Is just this, like you said, multiple exposures, maybe some lighter fluid or barbecue?
Fluid, yeah.
You lighter fluid in there and just light it, take a picture, do it a couple times, and then composite.
It's nice.
Yep. Very nice. I love it.
Yep.
Hypnotic. Thanks, James.
And that was Nora's picture. Was that Nora?
No, it was James Glennie. The next one, no.
Nora.
It could be.
No, the next one is Karen.
Karen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Monochromatic. Yeah. Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm. Just needs a frog on it to be perfect.
Oh, right.
no
One of those little tree frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is nice.
Yeah, it looks like
This has a painterly effect to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The crop's nice. The key line's nice. Looks really good.
And you guys like the key line? You know, she sampled a green from the image and used that in the key line. That's good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Is there a gradient on that, or is that my display? Is there a gradient like on the black border? At least my screen looks a little lighter on the bottom.
It goes green down to the bottom.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're
just
right.
noticed that. Yeah, nice touch, Nora. Karen, Nora on the brain.
The last one's Nora.
Yeah, actually it is. All right, and second,
no,
who did this? I don't know.
Some dickhead.
Hey, Peter, what time was this one taken at?
I think this was at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I questioned that. But because they're 2 hours ahead of of Thailand, they move the clocks forward. So when they're forward, actually, next question. It's just
give us a story behind this image, Peter. Like, where were you?
It is in Burma, and it is the where the chief monastery leader lives, and this is the quarters where the monks meet and so on. And that is a window. That is a window going outside. And I stared at it for so long. It's the most idiotic place to put a window. I don't understand. Anyway, I liked it.
Yeah, this one, I swear, that window, just because of the missing picture to the right of it, it just kind of, it lies to you. It lies to you and tells you that's a photo hanging on the wall right there.
But the thing is, to have that outside of the window, I mean, I should have waited maybe for a monk to walk by, but I don't know. It's just random snapshot that turned out just different.
And how do you find yourself? Is this one's house, or is this
it's the chief of the monastery, and he is in charge. And we went to his place and we had lunch and ate there. And then I'm sitting there in this room and I'm looking out because I'm just amazed. Why wouldn't you put a bigger window in? And the whole thing was just kind of weird, but I don't know. There's a reason for it. I don't know. I didn't ask.
And those little indentations to the right and the left. On the right there, it looks like there's like bottles of liquid or something in those recesses. What are those? Are those portals?
And they had like sort of like remote controls. The thing next to the window is a remote control for their TV. That thing on the right there, I have no idea what that thing is. I looked at it. I think it might be something for carrying liquids because it's kind of a kitchen area that this is in.
Okay.
I don't know what those things are on the left. I've got no idea.
Interesting. What a cool shot. Peter, when's your next international adventure? And Australia doesn't count. Sorry.
No. Japan in 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, nice. For business or for photography?
Oh, it's for business. What are you, the tax man? Holy shit! Of course, that's a tax deduction.
I was told to ask you that.
Pause the recording. Pause the recording. Right now, you can tell us, Peter.
Yes, it is it is the 8th to the 19th. Possibly, I'm just checking airfares. There's a new airline that's flying in and out of Japan right now called Zip Air. And
Yes. Airlines.
Have you
We use
been?
that. Yeah.
Have you been on them?
No, my daughter used that to fly out here.
Did she like it?
She loved it. It's amazing. It was great.
Okay.
And the prices currently are normal, right?
Oh, they're great. Round trip business class is $2,400 to Narita.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a Australian photographer, Alfonso, that I've been communicating with, and he's going up there. His wife is Japanese, and we may hook up there and just go take pictures, maybe snow monkeys and some other stuff. So that's on the books for right now.
That's cool. You should reach out. Do you know Martin Bailey? You know Martin Bailey's a big friend of the show. He's based in Japan.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he lives in Japan. So does Matthew Jordan Smith, who's another friend of TWiP. He's in Tokyo.
He was here too. He was here 2 weeks ago, and we had a phone chat. We're doing a book for him. So,
good.
On Aretha Franklin. So I don't know if he's going to be back there or not, but he's been traveling up and down.
Okay.
He's a good guy, real good guy.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Peter.
No, you're welcome.
Second to last is time. Kai's in here. Is he still here? He messaged said he was. He's Kai. I think you're in here, right? He's there, but I think he's in a meeting.
In this call,
Good. We can talk shit about it then.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk bad about Kai.
There's got too many people in the room for a start. There's a 2-person limit to this hotel room.
Yeah, one of those guys is a great guy. The rest are just evil.
Yeah. One of them is pretty lazy, you can tell. The other one's a thinker.
Exactly.
It is cool.
This is cool. I love this technique. This is great.
Find myself.
Does anybody else do anything like this? Anybody else do these kind of multiple exposure type?
No.
Tricks? This is that stretching time thing, right? Kind of like Phil's long exposure. This is like a long exposure, but taken in slices and then put together in the computer.
I think about doing these, but then I don't, because there's a lot more work involved.
It's not that much work.
It is. You got to go into Photoshop and you got to create a composite. You know, it's not like I have an app in my phone. If I had an app on my phone, I would do more of these.
Oh, it's not. It's probably easier than with an app. This is
this would cut into your snacking time. So this is definitely out.
This is true. This is true. But most people don't understand the reference to that, Peter.
Well, no, I was actually talking to you, so that's fine.
Everywhere I go, I have a snack bag. Usually it's very large and I have many snacks in it. So he's he's making fun of me. I had a good one. I actually had a good snack bag on the last wedding. I took a picture and I meant to send it to TWiP and I forgot.
Do it.
I'll have to post it.
Well, when I look at this shot, I think the story that I get out of this shot, aside from the sort of interestingness of the multiple exposure, is I think Kai, the artist, was trying to say that this is a person like waiting on a date or someone to show, because you got one of him is looking at the phone, waiting on it to ring. 2 are looking out the window, waiting on something to show up. And the one on the bed just gave up, right? Because the person never showed.
And you can't see the face of the person, which makes it really mysteriously cool. Very cool. Yeah.
The only thing it needs is a clock.
Craig, you can see the time on the phone. Look at it. 11:30 a.m. Enlarge it and you can see it.
Yeah. This is an easy technique to do, but looking at this shot, probably the hardest, or the most, not even hard, the most time consuming bit was masking, like here and here, because his hand comes all the way through. And this guy obscures those pixels, so he had to mask that piece right there. Other than that, they're all independent. So, not much at all going on there.
Well, I imagine the sheets on the bed kind of moved around depending on where he was as well.
Yeah.
Lines and the sheets.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready for the last shot?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, it's Nora.
Who is it? Anyone take bets? Taking bets?
Nora.
Oh, Jesus.
We knew it.
Come on.
We knew it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one also right at the top that we missed?
Oh, yeah, there's one more. Yes, yeah, 191.
Oh, there's
yes.
one more. There's a bird.
Yeah, let me do that one first, and then we'll do Nora's, because you're 199, Nora. So there was 191. Yeah. Yes, Michael Brown. Yep.
How good's that?
Yeah, look how sharp this is. Michael's sharp. The shots are just stupid sharp. I mean, all the way through. It's just crazy. Like, look at his hair right here. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's just tack sharp. And then it falls. So where's the focus on this one? Probably from like right about here to there. That's the little slice of focus he's got this in. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of this shot and bird shots like this in general? I'm curious. I'm not a birder. I'm curious with people that do this kind of photography. What makes a good shot other than it being technically correct, i.e., exposed and in focus?
So for me, I think it shows, the anatomy of the bird, right? Its coloring and markings, which, when I see something like this, if you look at the color of his wings, right, there's genes that are turning on and off that are expressing various pigments to create that colored wing as those feathers grow out, right? I mean, That's what's really happening, right? Which is very cool that nature does this kind of stuff. And it's evolved a way to do this specifically so it can survive in its environment, right? Gives it a selective advantage from a natural selection perspective. Plus, the other thing I really like about Michael's work is he's very good about blending out the backgrounds and always using a complementary color in the background to separate the background from the subject.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shooting shallow depth of field like this, it's not easy, but it's in focus. The composition is great, and everything that needs to be sharp is. What doesn't isn't. I think it's outstanding.
What would you say? What would you say the lens? Like, if he's assuming he's shooting this full frame, was it like a 300 mil lens?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah. It might be even longer. It might be a 500, right? So bird is big glass.
Yeah,
and those birds always seem to land on that same rock or stumble.
Yeah, they know their neighborhood.
You got quite a collection.
Yeah, they know
that's Bird Rock. Love it.
That's cool.
All right. Thank you, Michael Brown. And Michael Brown, you got to show up to our mixer every now and then, man. So you can
back to Nora's.
Nora.
Is this one of her scans of some of her veins going to her heart? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what it is. It could be that,
love how
though.
Nora's face is bright red from the image that you're showing right now. Like, she's literally lit by her own photograph.
It looks like the
so I can control it. Wait, let me go green.
Yeah, watch.
Let's see. Is it green?
Yeah.
Green. Remote lighting control. I love it.
There you go.
I love it.
Yeah, I have no other lights on in the room, so.
That's cool. Tell us about the shot, Nora. Take us home.
So this is, so the theme was backlit, and this is rose petal.
Fabulous.
I had some other backlit images, and then I saw this petal sort of lying on the desk, and I thought, well, why not play around with it? And that's what came out.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Really good. All right, Nora has raised the bar for these critiques. So, what's going to happen next week? Troy, we're doing we said the topic was going to be open, right? Open general.
Open, yeah. We wanted it to be easy for everybody.
Yeah. Or friction free.
Yeah.
You need to put Nora on a handicap scale. She's won too many things. You need to start handicapping her.
Nah. So let's see. Okay, let's see what you do with Open General, Peter. That's Nora. That's Peter throwing down the gauntlet. So it's between you two.
Oh, I have stuff.
All right.
I don't know if it's any good.
Could a topic be like Bhutan or Singapore or something like that? Like only certain people can compete, right? It'll eventually be down to like Nora and Peter.
Outer Mongolia.
We travel in different circles, so if you said Greenland,
the same places,
I'm in.
though.
But if you say Thailand, he's in.
There you go.
He's warm climate. I'm cool climate.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, you can have that.
Very good.
Yeah, but it's open. It's open for next week.
Yeah, open.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully by then we'll have our act together and share what the critiques are going to evolve into. They're not going to evolve into anything radically different. It's just more of how do we make the critiques crisper and more substantive and more sort of dialed in, and do we pre-program them out like we did an experiment before where I set the critiques and the events like several weeks in advance and published all the events so everyone would know what was coming, or is it better to release them one at a time over the week, or over the month as we roll them out? But
is that because now that because of the ownership change and stuff, and we're going globally, and there's at least 2 or 3 million people viewing this now, that we need to tighten it up a little? Is that why?
No, but that's a good topic because the announcement of that thing you're talking about is going to happen, and by the way, this is public, Peter. This is going on the public site, so no one knows about that news yet, by the way.
I didn't say anything. I just said, that thing.
Oh, the owner of the owner.
Yeah. That thing.
That thing, yeah. Well, that's a whole different topic. We'll talk about that at the mixer because there's some really cool stuff that I can do now that's coming, but again, kind of like when we moved over from the other platform to this one's not going away. We're at home now. But some of the questions that popped up were, if there's a giant influx of people, which we want, into the community, how do we maintain the integrity of the core group and those sorts of things? So all that's
you keep us in one place and keep the peasants out. And that's how we do it, right?
I was thinking vice versa, but yeah. Okay.
I'm going to reapply again.
Keep the chickens corralled over here so they don't mess with the cows.
I don't want to reapply for the job again. Man. Oh, God.
So when's the date? Is the next critique this coming Monday, or is it 2 weeks?
This Monday, yeah. This coming Monday.
Go back to the weekly schedule?
No, we're still doing the alternating, but we're gonna because we had this 200th episode, we're gonna do a regular critique on this Monday, and then the group critique the following Monday, and so on.
Good to know.
So who's going to be the judge? You and Uncle Troy?
In the Monday's critique, yeah, Troy and I.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna kiss up like infrared, black and white, and some military stuff.
Borders.
Yep, borders, key lines,
military
fire
lines,
and only shot with Nikon.
Yeah, and preferably a cat doing something.
A cat, yeah. So cat, infrared,
if you can manage,
Nikon, black and white.
Put all that in there. One shot. A shot with a Nikon of a cat on fire with a key line, shot in infrared.
That would be
like
good.
Something from Mid-Journey.
Oh man. Again, stop the recording.
Exactly. All right, Eric Pronsky.
Okay.
Eric's there with his new grandson, Axel. We see the back. We can see Axel's cowlick right there. Look at the
Eric
granddad.
doesn't hear us anymore.
He doesn't
done
hear
with us.
He doesn't care.
Look at that
He
proud
doesn't care.
grandfather. Look at that. He has no idea. I love it.
Like, oh, I'm on a Zoom call? Oh, sorry.
I got better things to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for popping in for this one. Yeah, Peter, I'm serious. The gauntlet is down, man.
Oh, it is.
Nora, head-to-head Monday. Let's see what you bring.
Unbelievable.
Nora, please crush him. Please crush him.
She will. Nora's in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Christ, we're going to let a freaking Canadian beat us Americans? Are you kidding me?
Hey, you're Australian.
You're
Settle
letting
down.
him. You're letting them,
Come
Peter.
on.
It's on you. It's up to you now.
Hey, Craig,
Yeah.
I'm an Aussie
Yo.
when I'm down in Australia, but I'm a septic
Righto.
when I'm up here, all right?
You're a septic over there, radio. Okay.
Yeah.
Did they understand the septic joke?
No, don't tell them.
Okay, good.
Wait,
That's fine.
did he say he's a septic? Well,
Septic.
Septic.
Yeah, septic tanks.
Yeah.
like a
Yank.
septic.
Septic tank.
Yeah.
A yank.
Yank. You're all the same. You're all septic tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Seppos is how we also call it.
Yeah.
That's when we shorten it even more. So septic
Okay.
tank becomes septic, becomes seppo.
It's sort of
American-
Americans
no
are
idea.
seppos.
We got to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
another
yeah,
one on the
seppos.
list, Troy. Yeah.
I don't
Apparently-
keep track. I don't
apparently you're
care.
not allowed to say it anymore. Same as you can't call midgets. You got to call them vertically challenged.
Yeah. All right. We're ending on that one.
Oh yeah. Don't record that. Don't record that. Turn that off. Turn that off.
Peter will be running for office soon.
Correct. Yeah, and probably win.
It's
I'm
good
just trying to
see-
picture Peter running around a monastery, you know.
Exactly.
Phil, come with me. You'll see how it's done.
I
Yeah.
can
You'll be
imagine.
revered.
I bet you
You'll be
set those
revered
people-
by the monks. The monks
I
will
bet you
love
set them. I bet you set them straight.
I do. It takes a little bit, but I do.
Get some drinking.
But what's good is seeing Craig on here, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and you've got Paolo.
Oh,
That's in northern Italy, and it's like 1 in the morning or whatever.
No, 9 p.m., 10 p.m.
9 p.m.
10:30.
10 p.m. now,
9?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and you're still up
it's still 5 o'clock here.
For at least 2 hours more.
2 hours more. Okay.
He's getting ready for dinner.
Yeah. And a cigarette and some beer. All right.
There you go. Sounds like a
Chianti.
plan.
All
All
right.
right, folks. Get out of here.
It's been a pleasure to meet you all.
Hey,
Yeah,
Greg.
Paolo.
Paolo.
Hopefully you can join us this Friday for the mixer. Come in and hang out more. It's basically just like this.
But
Well, with less photos.
Less polite.
We'll see.
yeah,
Yeah, more alcohol.
yeah, and more bad language, not from me.
Yeah, exactly. Methinks.
Yeah, how is Robin? That's good.
All right,
right.
folks, get out of
See you
here. We'll
guys.
see you.
Okay.
Well done,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.